This was the beginning of a century of bloody persecution.
ساختارهای زندگی را دوجه از بین بردن، چون فکر گفتم هیچ حدود 62% از مردم هزاره پس از این حمله مهاجر شدن. در این زمان فروش هزاره ها رسما رواج داشت. دولت از فروش برده های هزاره مالیه میگیرد و این خودش موجب این شد که تعداد مهاجرت کنند که اگر برگشتن هم برگشتن، اما یا دوباره مجبور شدن زندگی رو و حتی تاریخ خود از نو آغاز کنند. یک گسستگی آمد، یک تفرقه تاریخی آمد و وضع کنونی مردم هزاره دقیقا مولود و محصول از این فروپاشی. میشه این به زیر عنوان فروپاشی یاد کرد. یک جامعه انسانی از هم پاشید.
The kings who succeeded Abdul Rahman did not subject the Hazara to such cruelty. At one point during his reign, Habibullah Khan, the elder son of Abdul Rahman, addressed a letter to the Hazara acknowledging the atrocities committed by his father against them. In this letter, which has been kept by a Hazara family through generations, he asks them to return to the lands that have been confiscated and illegally granted to the Kochis, the very people who had helped his father in brutally suppressing them. But the Hazaras still felt like strangers in their own lands, although their feuds with warlords in the region were in no way comparable to the ethnic massacres of the past. They lived a precarious existence, and yet gradually began building a new economy on a small scale. But their terrible ordeal would not be over yet. (1994). The country is ruled by warring Mujahideen factions, squabbling over the pitiful remains of a country they themselves freed from 10 years of Soviet occupation. It was at about this time that the world first became aware of the Taliban, when they were appointed by Islamabad to protect a convoy trying to open up a trade route between Pakistan and Central Asia. They proved effective bodyguards, driving off other Mujahideen groups who attacked and looted the convoy. They went on to take the city of Kandahar, beginning a remarkable advance that led to their capture of the capital, Kabul, in September 1996. Many Afghans, weary of conflict and anarchy, were relieved to see corrupt and often brutal warlords replaced by the devout Taliban, who had some success in eliminating corruption, restoring peace and allowing trade to resume. But unfortunately for the Afghan people, their rule marked the beginning of one of the darkest and most tragic periods of recent Afghan history. The Taliban, under the direction of the shadowy and secretive Mullah Muhammad Omar, instituted a reign of terror through the highly strict interpretation of Islamic law, or Sharia. For the Hazara, history was repeating itself, and a new tragic chapter would echo the horror of the reign of King Abdul Rahman. In a religious edict, which word for word is practically the same as the fatwa issued by Abdul Rahman, the Taliban authorities issued their instructions.
Shias are infidels. There is no doubt in their infidelity. Boycotting Shias is the duty of every devotee of the Prophet. We demand that Shias should be declared a non-Muslim minority on the basis of their infidel beliefs, and their entry into Mecca and Medina should be banned.
After having been forced out of their lands, the Hazara sought refuge in the rugged mountainous areas of northern Afghanistan. There they hoped to find land that would allow them to live a peaceful existence and to practice their religious faith freely. Mazar-e-Sharif, the capital of Balkh province, owes its name to the mausoleum in which Imam Ali, the Prophet Muhammad's cousin, is supposedly buried. According to popular belief, a 12th century local mullah had a dream in which Ali was secretly buried in a locality near the ancient city of Balkh. After some investigations, the then Sultan ordered a mosque to be built on the designated spot, but this was later destroyed. Today, the mausoleum remains an inevitable place of pilgrimage for all Muslims, Shia and Sunni. Even at the height of fighting between rival Mujahideen factions, when the whole country was torn apart, Mazar-e-Sharif remained an island of peace for the Hazara, the Tajiks and the Uzbeks who lived there. But in 1997, when the Taliban were preparing to take the city, the local population took drastic action. Over 2,000 Taliban were killed in the ensuing violence. Things didn't end there, though. The Taliban wanted revenge. In a concerted attack in August 1998, they savagely slaughtered the mostly Hazara population during a 6-day frenzy that cost the lives of thousands of civilians.
مردم اینا را راه داد. چاپاچارسون راه داد در منطقه مزار یک دم گرفت لغت کرد آمد. که آمد آنه چیزی که وی که پای داشت رفت لکو بالا شد. وی که به پای بود غریب بیچاره بود اینجا که مانو گرفت از یخنش گرفت کشتی. یک تعدادش برد بندی کرد و یک تعداد دیگه شو برد این قندار بود. 3 سال پاشایی کرد دیگه تمام این منطقه را گرفت یک دم. مذهبش میگفت مذهب دیگه به غیر از سنی شیعه باید نباشه این منطقه. کلگی یک مذهب باشه. این مقصدش هم میگه.
ما در دکان بودیم آمد ما را زمین یخنیم گرفت کش کرد ما را پرسان که از آرسیم ما را پایین کشید سری داکسان بالا کرد و یک دوسیه چند خنداق هم زدک ما را موبس بود تا موبس این دمیج موبس بود تا نماز دیگر موبس بدیم بعد نماز دیگر ما را در کانتینر قوا کرد در شبرغان بردک.
ما را میگفتن شما حزب افغانی نیستیم. ما به خاطر که صاحب خانه را بیرونی آمده کشیده نمیدن ایستادگی میکردیم که نمیدونیم خانه از ماست ما افغانیستیم و تا یک نفر هم از افغانیستیم ایستادگی میکردیم. به این خاطر چند دفعه قبل هم که آمدیم میگفتن 10,000 نفر کشته شده. خب معلوم نیست 10,000 بود یا کم بود. مقصد کلا کشته شدن تعداد کمش فرار کردن. به این خاطر می بغضشان زیاد بودن. به این خاطر با ما بدرفتاری میکردن.
Other than the massacres they carried out, the Taliban also obliterated everything that made up the identity of the Hazara. Among other symbols, they destroyed the mausoleum built in the memory of Abdul Ali Mazari. This political figure was considered by the Hazara as their spiritual father. He founded the Hezb el-Wadat, or Unity Party, and was the first political leader to speak up for and on behalf of a unified Hazara and Shiite political party, putting their case to the UN and the international community. Mazari's faithful secretary and bodyguard, who was also killed, is buried alongside him. The Hazara have begun to rebuild what the Taliban took away from them, but the way they live today and their current poverty bear the scars of past violence and testify to their sacrifices. Using religious heresy as a pretext, the Taliban brutally punished all those they called parasites, foreigners in their own lands. They spared no one. They showed no pity, not even towards the most vulnerable and the weakest. Yet, as often happens throughout history, there were a courageous few who dared. Among them, this young woman. The memories of those terrible times are still very much alive.
بعد از ظهر بود و من خانه بودم، همراه خواهرها و برادرای کوچکتر از خود. پدرم برادرایم در شهر بودن، مصروف کار خود. سر صدا بلند شد. فهمیدیم که وضعیت به هم خورده، باید هر که در گوشی از خدا بگیره، وقت رزی که احتمال راکت و مشک چیزی بود. من خواهر برادرای کوچک در زیر زمینی بردم. خودم دم در کوچه منتظر بودم تا برادرم یا پدرم بیایم. یک حالت نارامی به من دست داد. وقتی دروازه کوچه را باز کردم، دیدم تعداد زیاد از مردم، اکثریتش از ملیت هزاره، از منطقه شمال طرف ما به نام نور خدا نهم شهر مزار است برآمده بودن. اطفال، زنان، پیر، جوان، کسی در دستش دوشک، بالشت، کسی در دستش خوراک کباب طرف شهر می آمدن. می گفتن ما روضه شریف میریم، زیارت حضرت علی میریم، اونجا می خواهیم امتر از اینجا اونجا باشه. در بین این مردم ما دو طفل کوچک دیدم، دو پسر بچه که سن یکش 4 سال بود، سن دیگهشون 7 تا 8 سال. این دو طفل خورد گریه میکرد. در این مردم که همراهش بود، سن یک از خانمایی که چادری داشت صدا میکرد خاله. فکر کردم شاید مادرش، خواهرش کسی باشه. برش دشنام داد، گفت از من دور شو. نمیخواستی طفل همراهش بره. متأثر شدم چون طفل خورده بود، کودک بود، نیازمندی داشت، ضرورتش بود که امون لحظه کسی باید روی مایا میکرد. صدا کردم برش، گفتم بیا طرف ما. اردیشونه و دهلیز خانه بردم. بعد از گفتم که در زیر زمینی بره چون وضعیت خوب نیست. صدا بلندتر شد. مادرم گفت که بدم روی خود نگاه نکنم طفل را. از ملیت هزاره هستن، میگه میفهمید که طالبا اگر بیاین اولین بار با می مردم هر برخورده که میکنن با می نمیکنن. برشون گفتم فرق نمیکنه. قرار باشه اگر ما بمیریم، اگر خداوند خواسته باشه می دو طفل خورد باعث میشه شاید ما از بین بریم، اما اگر زنده هم بانیم شاید می دو طفل خورد. ولی اینا چی گناه دارن؟ وقت صبح شد برش نان دادم. 1-2 ساعت گذشت، گفت نه ما را خانه ببرین، مادرم جگر خون میشه. یک برادرم از خودم خورد است، هر دو طفل گرفت همراه خود برد تا یک فاصله برده بودش تا نزدیک خانه. بعد از دیگه ندانستم بچه ها کجا شدن، مادرشان آمد یا نامد ندانستم. اما مثل یک خاطره همیشه در زندگی من به یاد مانده، وارثی بسیار زیاد تاثیرم کرد.
Now that Mazar-e-Sharif had fallen, there was one last obstacle to complete Taliban rule over the whole of Afghanistan and to establish their supremacy. In the rugged mountains of Hazarajat, each passing season brings hardship for the villagers who live here. The endless succession of high mountain peaks obscures the possibility of more welcoming lands beyond. Yet, when least expected, the road suddenly opens up and gives way to a 2,000-year-old site, a treasure trove of history and architecture. Bamiyan. Situated on the ancient Silk Route, it was an important crossroads between East and West, where all the trade between China and the Middle East passed. This town is the cultural centre of the Hazara. It was the site of several Buddhist and Hindu monasteries and a thriving centre for religion, philosophy and art. Monks at the monasteries lived as hermits in small caves carved into the side of the Bamiyan cliffs.